After Sebastian Thorne lost his memory, he completely forgot that I was the woman by his side for 3 years, his canary, kept in the lavish cage of Rosewood Manor. Not only did he coldly tell me to leave, but he also transferred a breakup fee, as if to erase every trace of our past. I placed my hand on my belly, where a tiny life was growing day by day, and smiled with satisfaction. With money, a child, and no longer having to serve a man as cold as ice, yet passionately relentless like a hydraulic press every night, my life had reached a strange kind of freedom. Each night I sat eating a bowl of spicy noodles with canned beef, sipping a can of cola, and thought to myself, yes, life like this is happiness enough. No need for anything more. Listen to the full story at Cringe Audio. But that joy didn't last long. During my prenatal visits to Green Hollow District Hospital, I kept running into Sebastian by chance. Once, twice, 3 times. The peak of my bad luck was that this cursed child of misfortune kept stepping into fateful dog poop, landing me in the sights of the man who had once cast me aside. His gaze grew deeper, darker, making me so scared I considered fleeing London to live abroad for good. But just as I looked up, before I could step out of the hospital, I saw him take a deep breath and stride straight toward me. This encounter was different from the others. It was the first time since the incident that Sebastian Thorne spoke to me directly. He stood before me, his eyes calm but his voice nearly making me drop the medical file in my hand. A man who doesn't go to prenatal checkups with his wife doesn't deserve to be a husband, he said. But a child can't grow up without a father. What I mean is, I fell in love with you at first sight. I know it's sudden, but can I be the father of your child? I froze, my ears buzzed. What? Love at first sight? And he wants to be the father of my baby? The shock in my heart hadn't settled when my phone suddenly rang. It was James Nolan, Sebastian's longtime assistant, the only person from Thorne Corporation who still contacted me after I was erased from the CEO's romantic history. His voice was as polite and smooth as ever. Miss Lydia, after losing his memory, Mr. Thorne couldn't accept that he once kept a woman. He thinks it's absurd and undignified. He also doesn't believe he ever had feelings for you and doesn't want to see you again. So, I'm sorry, but within 2 days, you must move out of Rosewood Manor. I stood silently. That villa was where I had lived for 3 years, where I decorated, planted a sunflower garden, laughed, cried, and loved him passionately. Now, none of it meant anything to him. I lowered my head, silent, preparing myself to leave empty-handed. But James continued, as if sensing my feelings. Mr. Thorne isn't heartless. You were with him for 3 years, and even if there's no merit, there was hardship. So he sent you a breakup fee and a new apartment in Southbridge Gardens. The condition is that you don't disturb him anymore. As he finished, I received a bank notification. My account had gained a 7-figure sum. In an instant, all my disappointment vanished like smoke. Fireworks exploded in my mind, dazzling and joyful. I smiled brightly and replied immediately, Don't worry. No need for 2 days. I'll move out today. From now on, I'll never appear before Mr. Thorne again. With money in hand and a baby in my belly, I left Rosewood Manor with an unprecedented sense of relief. Starting a new life in a comfortable apartment, I painted online commissions and nurtured my pregnancy in peace. At night, I listened to music, watched movies with handsome actors, and liked posts of attractive guys on my screen without worrying about being forced to atone with exhausting exercise. If my life as Sebastian Thorne's canary was full of hardship, now I lived in freedom, joy, and laughter. I had truly started over, alone but not lonely, with no shortage of money, and life flowed gently by, staying up late, eating spicy mixed noodles with canned beef and cola every night, and still not needing dialysis by summer showed just how blissful this life was. But the happiness didn't last long. Every time I went for prenatal checkups, I kept running into Sebastian Thorne. Once, twice, 3 times. Oh heavens, the peak of bad luck. Cursed by ancestors, stepping in dog poop countless times, his gaze grew darker with each encounter. I feared he'd remember the past, so I considered escaping abroad for good. But as I looked up, I saw him take a deep breath and walk toward me. After so many encounters, this was the first time he spoke to me. A husband who doesn't go to prenatal checkups with his wife can't be kept, but a child needs a father. What I mean is, I fell in love with you at first sight, he said. May I boldly ask, can I be the father of your child? I'd be more responsible than some deadbeat. I blinked, thinking I misheard. Before I could respond, James Nolan called, relaying Sebastian's decision's post-memory loss with his usual tact. Miss Lydia, after losing his memory, Mr. Thorne finds the idea of keeping a woman incomprehensible. He doesn't believe he ever loved you and doesn't want to see you again. So, I'm sorry, but you must move out of Rosewood Manor within 2 days. That villa was where Sebastian had placed me, where we spent 3 years together in bed. I considered it my home, decorated with pink accents I loved and a garden full of my favorite sunflowers. Hearing I had to leave, I felt a pang of loss. But it was his house, his money. I could only lower my eyes, ready to leave with nothing. James continued, but Mr. Thorne isn't heartless. You were with him for 3 years, and even without merit, there was hardship. So, he's given you a breakup fee and an apartment in Southbridge Gardens. The condition is that you don't bother him anymore. Before he finished, a bank notification confirmed a 7-figure deposit. My disappointment vanished instantly, replaced by bursting joy like fireworks. I couldn't hold back a grin and promised James, don't worry, no need for 2 days. I'll move out today. I'll never appear before your Mr. Thorne again. This time, I was laughing all the way to the bank. With money, a baby with excellent genes, and no need to serve a man who never rested at night, life was perfect. Yes, I was pregnant. I love children. So when I found out, I tested Sebastian's feelings. Do you like kids? I asked. He rejected the idea instantly. No, they're noisy and annoying. He glanced at me, frowning. Do you want kids? His serious expression told me that if I nodded, I'd be kicked out the next second. I didn't dare mention my pregnancy, quickly denying it. No way, I hate kids. Besides, our relationship isn't one where we could have kids. No name, no status. I thought my answer was reasonable, but Sebastian acted like he'd eaten poison, suddenly enraged. What's our relationship? You don't even want to have my kids? Faced with his poor comprehension, I could only secretly pinch my hand 6 times behind my back, silently cursing. Yes, that jerk of a man always dragged me to bed after an argument. Luckily, my baby was strong despite his father pounding away like a pile driver all night, and the baby stayed safe. This strengthened my resolve to keep the child. So when Sebastian, post-memory loss, told me to leave, I took the money and ran happily. That day, I had James handle the property transfer, moved into my new apartment, and began enjoying a blissful pregnancy. By day, I strolled, cooked, and took art commissions. At night, I read, listened to music, and liked posts of handsome guys on my screen. As Sebastian's canary, I never had such joyful days. That crazy man made me pay for liking videos of hot guys with exhausting exercise that left me breathless. Sure, he was handsome and skilled, and I enjoyed it, but too much left my waist aching. I had to sneak likes back then, but now I could love 100 hot guys a day, liking one after another. No handcuffs could chain my eyes anymore. With material comfort and a joyful spirit, life couldn't be happier. The days passed quickly, and soon it was time for another prenatal checkup. Thinking of seeing my tiny embryo, my heart bubbled with happiness. I ignored a fleeting sense of unease, never expecting to meet Sebastian Thorne at Green Hollow District Hospital. In the crowded lobby, I spotted him instantly. His head was bandaged, dressed in a green and white hospital gown. Perhaps due to his injury, his soft black hair was shaved into a buzz cut, but it didn't diminish his beauty. It made his face sharper, captivatingly handsome. When his gaze swept over me, I panicked and lowered my head, feeling his scorching stare. I screamed internally. He's London's famous elite heir after an accident. Why isn't he in a luxury private hospital instead of this ordinary public one in Green Hollow? Cursing silently, I felt his gaze lift. I cautiously looked up. Sebastian's figure had vanished into the crowd. I patted my chest, exhaling. It's fine, it's fine. He's lost his memory, forgotten me. Even if he saw me, it's no big deal. I'm just a stranger to him now. Reassuring myself, I headed to the maternity ward. There weren't many expectant mothers. Getting a number and waiting was quick and convenient. The checkup went smoothly. When I got the ultrasound image and heard the doctor say my baby was healthy, I was both nervous and thrilled. My child gave me, someone who had lost family, a renewed sense of sacred blood ties. This child was my miracle in this world. Though unborn, I couldn't help but love and keep them. Happily studying the ultrasound, I thought about preserving it, laminating it, and framing it beautifully. Then, ouch! Someone rushing bumped into me. Before I could dodge, I lost balance. Panicking, I nearly fell, but a strong arm wrapped around my waist, steadying me before quickly letting go. Regaining my footing, I saw the ultrasound image fall. Still shaken, I clutched my belly. The person who bumped me muttered a half-hearted apology and ran off. I cursed silently, bending to pick up the image. Brushing off the dust, I looked up at the man who steadied me. His familiar face, sharp brows, cold eyes, and high nose left me speechless. The one who saved me and my baby was Sebastian Thorne. My mouth opened, but a thank you stuck in my throat. Sebastian glanced at me, then at the ultrasound, his icy face turning colder than a 1,000-year glacier. His gaze made my heart race. I feared he'd remember everything, demand I abort the baby, or worse, take the child and cast me out forever. Terrified, I blurted, "This baby isn't yours." I regretted it instantly. He'd lost his memory. Why did I say that, exposing myself? I forced a smile, backtracking. Ha ha ha, just kidding. Handsome guy, thanks for helping me. My husband wasn't here, and if you hadn't caught me, I wouldn't know how to explain to him. This baby is the long-awaited heir of our Wallace family. The more I spoke, the smoother it got, as if I had a Mr. Wallace. Sebastian's face darkened. Unable to bear my endless chatter about the Wallace family legacy, he didn't respond, turning coldly and leaving. Phew, terrifying. I had to switch hospitals next time. Watching his retreating, I silently vowed. For days after, I lived in fear. Apart from James asking if I wanted the giant pink teddy bear from my old bedroom, I heard nothing about Sebastian. I sighed in relief, resuming my peaceful pregnancy routine. Soon, the next checkup arrived. This time, I chose the capital's top private hospital, St. Aldwyn's. Walking slowly, I thought, surely Sebastian wouldn't switch from Green Hollow to here, right? Reality proved he could. In the hospital lobby, I froze seeing him nearby. His sharp senses caught me. He frowned, likely wondering why I changed hospitals. Nobody switches maternity hospitals casually. What cursed coincidence was this? I shouldn't have come. His prolonged stare forced me to wave awkwardly. Hey, handsome, what a coincidence. Here for a prenatal checkup, too? Ugh, my mouth moved faster than my brain. I mean, changing meds? Post-memory loss, Sebastian was utterly rude. He gave me a cold glance and walked away as if we'd never met. When I was his canary, he'd at least ruffle my hair or kiss my cheek if we met outside. Now, tsk, 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 infuriating. I made a face at his back, then hurried to the maternity ward. The checkup went smoothly, and I got my baby's second life photo. To me, my baby was always the most beautiful. Sitting in an empty chair to admire the image, I couldn't look away. Until thud, someone collapsed in front of me, like they were faking for a scam. Startled, I jumped up. Sir, are you okay? I crouched, struggling to turn the man to prevent suffocation. Then, Sebastian Thorne's handsome face hit me. I was speechless. What the hell? Can I run into him everywhere? Seeing the bruise on his forehead, I couldn't abandon him. I took a deep breath, called for help, and, with the nurses, got him to the ER. After sneaking out of the ER, I swore to switch hospitals again. No more encounters. If I saw him again, pfft, no way I'm that unlucky. Heading to the parking lot, I ran into the last person I wanted to see. In the lobby, James Nolan and I stared at each other, stunned. Remembering my promise, I raised 2 fingers. I swear I have no intention of bothering your Mr. Thorne. I only came here for a cold, not to stalk him. James was silent, then said softly, This was an unscheduled visit for Mr. Thorne. I know you're not that kind of person. He paused, his expression complex. But thank you for saving Mr. Thorne earlier. I exhaled, waving it off. No big deal. It's a hospital. If not me, someone else would have helped. Uncomfortable with small talk, I said goodbye and turned to leave. James called after me, hesitant. Miss Lydia, maybe you should meet Mr. Thorne. He doesn't believe he loves you because he hasn't seen you. Maybe seeing you will jog his memory. No need for that. We'd met several times, but it was useless. Sebastian had truly forgotten me. Plus, I was pregnant, dare I face him? If he remembered and wanted the baby gone, I'd cry harder than Meng Jiangnu at the Great Wall. I refused. No meeting. Organizing my thoughts, I earnestly advised James. Mr. James, Mr. Thorne said he doesn't want me around. How could you, for our slight acquaintance, go against his orders? Please don't mention me to Sebastian. After that checkup, I immediately listed my new apartment with a broker. Better safe than sorry. If Sebastian, memoryless, saw me at prenatal visits, it'd be fine. But if James, who knew everything, caught me, it'd be catastrophic. If he found out I was pregnant, he'd likely tell Sebastian. Even before losing his memory, Sebastian disliked kids. Now, he'd hate them more. My baby and I were 99.9% in danger. London was my hometown. I couldn't bear to leave. So I'd move far from Sebastian Thorne and switch hospitals for checkups. The third prenatal checkup. Damn it, I ran into Sebastian Thorne again. Even Justin Bieber wouldn't be lucky enough to bump into Selena 3 times like this. In the hospital lobby, he stood at the entrance in a high-end suit, looking like he was attending a billion-pound project summit. His hair, once shaved due to his injury, now reached his ears, his overall appearance nearly restored to pre-accident days. But his aura was colder than ever, like millennium-old ice or eternal snow. His deep, dark eyes, still as a lake, locked onto me. I stood not far from him, too scared to move forward. Cursing my bad luck, I started thinking I might need to leave the country. Abroad, even if he regained his memory, he wouldn't find me easily. The more I thought, the more feasible it seemed. Leaving my homeland would hurt, but for my baby, it was worth it. I could return when the child was older. Feeling relieved, I glanced at Sebastian again. I wasn't as afraid anymore and even smiled at him. But at that moment, he took a deep breath and strode toward me. For the first time after all these chance encounters, he spoke. A man who doesn't go to prenatal checkups with his wife isn't worth marrying, but a child needs a father. What I mean is, I fell in love with you at first sight. May I ask, can I be the father of your child? I'm as responsible as some 5.0 virus variant, aren't I? I blinked, thinking I misheard. Sebastian lowered his eyes, a hint of shyness mixing with his cold demeanor. Miss Lydia Hartwell, I don't care if the baby isn't mine. I'll treat it well. I was silent, stunned. My emotions were a mess because of his sudden lunacy. He once said he didn't like kids. Turns out he didn't want his own, but was eager to father someone else's. Speechless, I shot him 108 glares, my voice icy. My child has a father. No need for you to step in. Sebastian's face darkened for a second, but the next he grew more resolute. A man who doesn't even go to checkups with you can't be a father. He can't, but I can. I didn't believe him. Transfer me 500,000 pounds. Prove your capability. Sebastian lowered his head. He sent the money, then looked up, his eyes full of affection. I have plenty of money, perfect for being your husband and the father of your child. Seeing my bank account jump by 1 million, I was utterly speechless. Suddenly, James Nolan appeared, jaw dropped, muttering, "What kind of role play are you two doing?" Me. I'm not playing anything. Your boss is just morally bankrupt, insisting on being the other man. 3 checkups, 3 hospitals, all colliding with Sebastian Thorne. At this level of coincidence, I gave up. I agreed to go back with Sebastian, giving him a chance to be the other man. In the car, James Nolan drove, gripping the wheel while asking, "Back to Rosewood Manor?" I nodded. Obviously. Sebastian immediately protested. "No way." I glanced at him coolly. Why not? Hiding another woman there? Sebastian froze, silent. After a moment, he stammered, "Probably not." Probably not. Is that human speech? His voice grew quieter. Well, I had a car accident and lost some memories. James said I had a girlfriend, but I don't remember her. I swear I feel nothing for her, and I've already kicked her out. The one I love now is you. From the moment I saw you, I knew we were meant to be. Oh, so he feels nothing for me anymore. I listened to his vows with a blank face. Beside us, the highly educated, high IQ James Nolan stole glances at me, frantically signaling Sebastian. Surely you'll remember her. Sebastian's brain was upside down, missing the cues. He insisted, "I don't remember," then looked at me earnestly. "I like you. I don't care if you're married or carrying another man's child. I want to marry you." "Right. When will you divorce your old husband?" The car, driven by James, swerved in an S shape. I glared at Sebastian, grinding my teeth. "That depends on your performance. You forgot me completely and still want to be my side piece? Sebastian Thorne, You're something else. Back at the villa, I secretly texted James, telling him to act like he didn't know me and never reveal I was Sebastian's canary. James looked at Sebastian with pity, nodded vigorously, sweating, and slipped away. I strutted into Rosewood Manor. Mrs. Whitaker, trimming flowers in the garden, ran over happily, glanced at Sebastian's face, and whispered, "Miss Lydia, have you and Mr. Thorne reconciled?" I nodded, whispering back, "Yes, but he had an accident, so his memory's a mess. He thinks I'm someone else's wife, so if he acts weird, don't mind. We're just playing a game." Mrs. Whitaker got it instantly. "Oh, that thing you young folks do. What's it called? Bray, right?" I grinned. Mrs. Whitaker was sharp. Turning to the clueless Sebastian, I smirked slyly. I went to the second-floor bedroom, changed into a nightgown, and stepped out to find Sebastian at the door. He looked up, his eyes briefly sparkling. "That dress is gorgeous. How did the clothes I ordered arrive so fast?" I lifted the gown, twirled, and grinned. "This was bought for your old canary." How could it not be pretty? Sebastian's icy face froze. "Huh?" I gave him a cold look. "What? You don't want me wearing it?" He shook his head quickly. "No, no." I smiled, leaned in, kissed his lips, and gazed at him brightly. "Good. Don't you want to be my husband? Why so shy now?" Sebastian's ears reddened. He turned away, his lashes trembling. "We should wait until you're divorced." My slender finger grazed his Adam's apple, pressing lightly. "Haven't you heard pregnant women have higher needs? If you can't handle it, I'll go back to my old Edward." Before I finished, Sebastian, eyes dark, as ink scooped me up, strode into the room, and set me on the soft silk bed. He leaned down, kissing me, his black eyes restrained yet torn with guilt. But he never stopped. I only meant to tease him, but pregnancy hormones made me sensitive. His kisses left me dizzy, forgetting to resist. Mindful of my belly, he was gentle, but the slow, drawn-out rhythm drove me crazy. Flushed, I begged him to hurry. He kissed my fingertips, his low, hoarse voice coaxing, "Who are you begging now?" Unable to stand the slowness, I slapped him. His pace quickened, eyes reddening. "Why won't you say, 'Husband?'" Sebastian froze, biting my fingertip hard. "Don't think of him now. You're about to get a divorce." Memoryless Sebastian Thorne was hotter than before. I closed my eyes, laughing and thrilled. The next morning, I woke late. Stepping out of bed, I saw Sebastian quietly directing maids to clear my wardrobe. I glared, frowning. "What are you doing?" Sebastian, face icy, said firmly, "Clearing it to replace with clothes and bags you like. All the pink stuff in this house, I'll have it removed. Redecorate however you want. The sunflower garden, too. Rip it out. Plant what you like." I was so mad I could spin and explode like fireworks. These were things I loved, painstakingly chosen. Yet, post-memory loss, for a girl he met a few times, he wanted them gone. I laughed in rage. "No way, don't you like these?" Sebastian, unthinking. "No, I don't like—" My eyes turned dangerous. "Oh, so these are what your old canary liked?" Even the aloof Sebastian could read faces. He backtracked. No, I like them." Waiting for that, I grabbed a black lace-trimmed suit from the wardrobe and tossed it to him. "Darling, you like it. Wear it to work." "No way. Work requires formality." "Black suit with lace trim? What's not formal?" Sebastian's face darkened, but he took it slowly. When I decorated this villa, he was always unhappy. I sacrificed my waist all night to keep the pink. Now thinking I'm someone else, he wants it gone. Dream on. He's wearing lace for me. At breakfast, I leisurely ate Mrs. Whitaker's nourishing porridge. Sebastian tugged at his lace-trimmed sleeve, face stiff, whispering, "Do I have to wear it?" I swallowed, saying casually, "Don't wear it then. I was going to see old Edward to discuss divorce today, but I'm in a bad mood now, so forget it." No, I'll wear it. I'll go with you to discuss the divorce." For his future promotion, Sebastian dropped the lace sleeve. I glanced at him, huffing. "Go where?" A side piece acting so boldly. "Do you even know what morals are?" Sebastian went from proud snow lion to wilted quail, still arguing shamelessly. I was just a bit late. Why blame me? Not you, then who? My old Edward? Pointing at his shameless moral decay, I demanded, Give him more money, I coughed, smirking. Yeah, lots more. My Edward loves me dearly. Before I could laugh, a massive sum hit my account from James Nolan. The real Edward just got Sebastian Thorne's breakup fee. James called, voice grim. Miss Lydia, if you keep toying with Mr. Thorne like this, when he regains his memory, he won't be mad at you. But I'm done for. I scoffed. If he fires you, gather all his recent scandals and sell them to competitors. James perked up. Good idea, I added firmly. Besides, this is just a role play between me and Mr. Thorne. It's got nothing to do with an assistant like you. So easy to placate James Nolan. He glanced at me, winking hard at Sebastian. You must remember her. Sebastian's brain was offline, missing it. He insisted, I don't remember, then looked at me sincerely. I like you. I don't care if you're married or carrying another's child. I want to marry you. Right? When will you divorce your old husband? James's car swerved in an S shape. I glared at Sebastian, gritting my teeth. Depends on your performance? Forgot me entirely and still want to be my side piece? Sebastian Thorne, you're bold. As soon as Sebastian Thorne got off work, I received an urgent text. At the cafe, I hurriedly ordered another coffee. Not long after, I spotted a familiar figure sneaking into a dim corner. No wonder he hesitated this morning, asking me for the meeting address. When I saw him leave for work, I thought he wouldn't show up. Thankfully, Edward Wallace, the actor I hired, arrived. Edward was a pro, pounding his chest and stomping in rage. Where's that vixen? How dare she seduce you into wanting a divorce? The real vixen sat right behind Edward, face icy, listening silently. I pouted and replied, He's handsome and rich. Instantly, Sebastian Thorne's lips curled into a smug smile. Unable to stand his self-satisfied look, I flipped the script, grabbing Edward's sleeve. Honey, I still have feelings for you. How about I steal his money to support you? Edward, the stellar actor, played along. Yes, perfect. I stole a glance and caught the Ice Prince's reddened eyes behind Edward. My lips curved into a gleeful grin. I wasn't just afraid Sebastian would force me to abort and leave. Truthfully, if I insisted on keeping the baby, he couldn't do much. The real reason I left was that Sebastian didn't love me enough. I met Sebastian Thorne at my lowest point. My father's business failed, leaving a massive debt. Then, he was diagnosed with a terminal illness and passed away soon after. I was left facing creditors and unpaid employees. I sold our house and jewelry, but still owed $8 million, and Sebastian Thorne was my £8 million creditor. Finding a job was brutal. 5,000 to 6,000 was average, 2,000 to 3,000 was low. I landed a job in the middle, 4,000. I could barely support myself, let alone repay the debt. Desperate, I mustered the courage to ask Sebastian for a job. I'd pay off the debt with my salary, needing only a small monthly stipend. I remember that day. Sebastian shot me a cold glance, almost laughing in anger. He pointed at James Nolan. He has a finance master's from Oxford, works as my assistant for £2 million a year. If you had his credentials, you could clear your debt in 5 years. I'd give you a job then. So, Miss Lydia Hartwell, what's your education? My digital media arts degree from a Russell Group university crumbled in my heart. Sebastian smirked coldly. Forget it, no hope there. But that night, James Nolan called, telling me to report to Thorne Corporation the next day. Sebastian made me an executive office assistant, paying $8,000 with $5,000 deducted monthly for the debt. I crunched the numbers. At that rate, it'd take 1,600 months, 133.3 years. Not bad, just 33 or 34 lifetimes. That night, I sobbed under my blanket for my doomed future. The next day, I showed up clear-headed at Sebastian's company, starting my debt repayment grind. At first, we were just boss and employee. I trembled under his strict orders, but within 3 months, 2 spiked drinks ruined us. Our relationship turned impure. That day, he told James to arrange a place for me, and I obediently resigned. From then on, no matter how well Sebastian treated me, I doubted his feelings. I loved him, but was plagued by insecurity. I liked lace, but didn't want it covering the house. What I loved was Sebastian frowning, yet indulging my whims. He never denied treating me well or having feelings for me, but our unequal relationship was a thorn in my throat. When he said he didn't like kids, I panicked, fearing he'd stop liking me because of the baby. That's why, after his memory loss, I insisted on leaving. But I never expected his morals to sink so low, falling for a married woman in his eyes. Good news, I no longer worry that he hates kids. Bad news, I now question his character. That morally bankrupt Sebastian didn't come home. James Nolan said he was working late, but oddly, I kept hearing a kettle whistling in his office. I knew him, cold and noble in public, a crybaby in private. He was reserved around me too. When upset, he'd wait until I slept to hug me and cry quietly. He never cried openly like this. I felt a twinge of guilt. Did I go too far? Fine, I'd tell him the truth in a few days. At 1 a.m., half asleep, I felt Sebastian return. He showered, slipped into bed, wrapped his arms around my waist, and started sobbing. Huh, you still love him, don't you? I just met you a bit late. Why do you love him? Huh, you're even using my money to support him. I don't care if you support him, but you can't love him. And the baby in your belly, I'm the only one who can be its father. His crying grew nonsensical. I rolled over, slapped him to quiet down. Too noisy. But this guy grabbed my hand, kissing it frantically, choking out, "Wife, you smell so good." He stopped crying and turned perverse. Feeling his fingers wandering below, I sighed at the ceiling. Fine, let him cry. It's less trouble. I settled into Rosewood Manor, starting my pregnancy. Occasionally, I watched hot guy videos or teased Sebastian. Life was happy and fun. Until one day, I rummaged through the gifts Sebastian had given me. I found a small box containing a diamond ring, a platinum band, and a sparkling stone. Simple, my style. My hands trembled as I slipped it onto my ring finger, a perfect fit, like it was custom made. Holding the ring to the light, I noticed tiny engraving. CC Love, FY. My initials, Lydia Hartwell. Was this my engagement ring? Clutching the box, I ran downstairs to Mrs. Whitaker, who was cooking. Mrs. Whitaker, when did this box end up in my gift room? Stirring soup, she looked up. The day you left, I found it under the wardrobe. Thought Mr. Thorne gave it to you, so I stored it. My throat went dry, heart pounding. I called James Nolan. Did Sebastian plan to propose before the accident? Hearing his confirmation, I cried and laughed. Just a bit more, and I'd have been married to Sebastian Thorne. James, hearing me cry-laugh, paused, then said, "The boss knew you loved kids. He practiced holding dolls and consulted doctors about fertility. Before losing his memory, his future always included you." James texted, "After his memory loss, he wanted you out of London. But knowing he nearly proposed, I changed it to just leaving Rosewood Manor. Don't doubt his love. Even forgetting you, doesn't he still love you now? Even if he thinks you're a married woman." I hung up, dazed, happy, yet sad. Sebastian Thorne never tired of my quirks, but I didn't dare trust him. If love takes 100 steps, I always fell one short of him. That night, I sent Sebastian Thorne a short text. "Come home early tonight. I only plan to cook a simple meal, sit beside him, and slowly recount everything that happened between us. No more hiding, no more dodging." But he completely misunderstood. I waited a long time, from daylight until I dozed off on the sofa. Past midnight, I was woken by soft sobs. Opening my eyes, I saw Sebastian slumped beside me, hands covering his face, tears streaming endlessly. He cried like a child, choking out repeatedly, "Lydia, you want to break up with me, don't you? You don't need me anymore because you're afraid of using my money to support that Edward." I was stunned, unsure why he thought that. But Sebastian kept sobbing. "I don't want to lose you. Without you, I can't live." I remember meeting you at Green Hollow District Hospital, standing there with the light behind you, making me feel strangely at peace. I thought, maybe for my whole life, I just want to see you like that. I gently wiped his face, drying his tears, and soothed him softly. "We won't part. We'll be together forever." Sebastian stopped crying, looked up, wiping his eyes with the back of his hand, his gaze pleading for me to stay. In a choked voice, he said, "No more Edward Wallace." I smiled, repeating, "There's none. It's only you." I hugged him, took a deep breath, and began telling him everything from our first meeting at the hospital to him bringing me to Rosewood Manor, the days after his memory loss, and how I loved him despite everything. I showed him our photos together, each one real, no Photoshop possible. Sebastian stared intently, his expression a mix of confusion and wavering. He asked softly, "Really?" I nodded. "If you don't believe me, ask James Nolan." He said seriously, "I will." That night, he said nothing more, just held me quietly, sleeping soundly. The next day, James Nolan called, voice full of doubt. The boss asked if you were his old canary. I said yes, but he didn't seem to believe me, giving me this look like, "I know you've been fooled." I said, "I told him everything." James sighed. "You told him? Why doesn't he believe it? Is he doubting himself?" Before I could reply, I saw Sebastian had secretly posted on an anonymous forum. Title: "My wife and assistant are tricking me. Should I expose them or believe them?" The content made me laugh and cry. I fell in love with a married pregnant woman and made her my wife. But that's not the point. After I lost my memory in an accident, she said she was my keeper canary. She said the baby is mine. She has intimate photos, even videos, and told me to ask my assistant if I don't believe her. I did, and he said the same. I don't know what to do. I don't want to expose them. I just want my wife to believe I truly trust her. The comments roasted him. Some called him dumb, others cute, and some said, if you love her, trust her. If not, don't hurt her. I was both annoyed and amused. I felt guilty all night, thinking I'd gone too far, only to realize the real culprit was him. That evening, when Sebastian got home, I teased gravely. My husband, Edward Wallace, always steps in with his left foot first. Unlike someone, stepping with the right feels like bad feng shui. Sebastian kept his icy face unresponsive. I continued, "My husband's adorable, always smiling, not like someone, face like a glacier, depressingly dull." He forced a stiff smile. I glared. "See? My husband's smile is way better." Before I could say more, the lights flicked off. In the dark, Sebastian lunged, holding me tight, lips near my ear. "No more Edward. You can't mention him." His voice was full of grievance, as if I were betraying him. Before I could react, he gripped me tightly, not letting me move. All night he sulked, clinging like a child to his favorite toy. I sighed. He was truly mad, mad enough to forget his cold, amnesiac CEO persona. After Sebastian Thorne regained his memory, I lived in a state of unease, unable to eat or sleep well. Once, while brushing my teeth, he leaned against the bathroom door, arms crossed, watching me with a calm face but a loaded tone. "Lydia Hartwell, you watch movies with Edward, read novels with Edward, even named our kid Edward in English. Are you that obsessed with him?" Mouthful of toothbrush, I shot him a glare. "What are you saying?" "You made me pick Edward." He paused, then looked thoughtful. I spat out the foam, stepped forward, and tapped his forehead. "If you don't remember, don't talk nonsense." From that day, Sebastian started exhibiting weird, controlling behaviors. Watching a movie? He'd ask if Edward was in it. Reading a novel? Same question. I glanced at a movie poster on the street, and he rushed to cover my eyes like I'd seen something toxic. Furious, I swatted his hand away, yelling, "Sebastian Thorne, are you sick?" He just smiled, light as a breeze. "Yes, sick with love for you." I was too choked to speak, but his odd behavior didn't stop. One day, I caught him sneaking a look at the old wooden box I kept under the wardrobe. When I walked in, he snapped it shut, acting innocent. I grabbed the box, checked it. Everything was there. But my gut told me he'd looked inside. Days later, while playing with our child, Sebastian sat beside me and asked softly, "Lydia, in your heart, does Edward hold a special place?" Rattling a toy for the baby, I paused. I turned, seeing his calm but deep gaze, like he was hiding something. I smiled lightly. "Jealous?" He didn't answer. That night, I found a strange search in his phone. "Can you love your ex again after memory loss?" Below were answers. 80% of men post-amnesia can still be drawn to someone they deeply loved. I stared at the screen, frozen. Not because of the results, but because I realized Sebastian doubted his love for me was instinctual. I turned, seeing him behind me, face expressionless. We locked eyes for seconds. I couldn't hold back, whispering, "If you love me even after losing your memory, isn't that love even truer?" He said nothing, just hugged me tightly. I hugged back. Maybe we both knew this love wasn't instinct. It transcended memory. I thought once Sebastian regained his memory, our life would return to normal. But surprisingly, he clung to me more. Wherever I went, he followed. In the kitchen, he stood beside me. Shopping, he insisted on pushing the cart. All day, I heard at least 10 times, "Lydia, are you hurting anywhere? Lydia, tired? Lydia, want a hug?" It started to annoy me. One day, I snapped, "Sebastian Thorne, you're a nuisance." His face fell, and the next day, he signed us up for a newborn care class, dragging me along. I asked, "Why learn this?" He said earnestly, "I want to learn to care for our kid. If you don't need me one day, at least the kid will." I nearly cried on the spot. For our child's first birthday, I planned a small party at Rosewood Manor. Close friends came, and amidst the cheerful toasts, Sebastian pulled me to a lavender garden corner. He took out a small box, the diamond ring I'd found under the wardrobe months ago. He knelt on one knee, eyes steady and resolute. "Lydia Hartwell, I wanted to propose once, but let the ring sit under the wardrobe too long. Now, I won't miss my chance." I looked at him silently, nose stinging. Not from emotion, but because I knew he'd tried before. I just hadn't given him enough trust. I held out my hand for him to slip on the ring, nodding. Yes. After marriage, our lives weren't much different. Our child grew daily, I worked, and Sebastian went to the office. But every morning, I woke to him beside me, gazing gently, as if I were his entire world. One day I asked, "If you hadn't lost your memory back then, would we have made it to today?" Without hesitation, he replied, "If I hadn't lost my memory, I wouldn't have let you leave in the first place." I pressed, "Any regrets?" Sebastian smiled softly. "None. Losing my memory gave me the chance to love you again." I smiled. Love doesn't need reasons. Memory may fade, but the heart still knows it's beloved. Now, watching Sebastian Thorne, once cold and arrogant, who hurt me unintentionally, who lost his memory busily mixing formula, changing diapers, and telling silly fairy tales in a goofy voice, I just want to say, thank you for forgetting me, only to love me again